Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Business Events podcast. I am your co-host, Xavier Villares, and Raquel Brito is with me as well, co-hosting today. Hello, Raquel.
Hi,
How are you?
good, and you?
Nice, absolutely great. Well, in the Business Event podcast, we have been analyzing how the pandemic has affected the business events industry during the last quarter of 2020. And today we are having the first interview of this not so brand new anymore 2021. And we have a very special guest indeed. We have with us Eirene Houston. How are you, Eirene?
I'm fine, Javier. Irene, remember? Oh, Irene.
Irene, of course. Let me please briefly introduce Irene, our guest, whose CV is really comprehensive indeed. She has been an art teacher, singer, songwriter, and comedian before leaving her work as a teacher to become a screenwriter. She studied screenwriting at the National Film and Television School at Beaconsfield, United Kingdom. Her graduation as Steve Drink, written and directed by Eirene, was screened at the Edinburgh Film Festival and was the winner of the International Certificate of Merit at Chicago International Film Festival. Eirene's first feature film, Day of the Flowers, which was filmed in Cuba by director John Roberts, was released in November 2013. The film stars legendary Cuban dancer Carlos Acosta in a romantic comedy about two Scottish sisters on their visit to Cuba. It was screened at the Edinburgh Film Festival 2012, where it was in competition for the Michael Powell Award for Best Show. The documentary feature film My Life is Dance, directed by Eirene, was filmed on location in Cuba and is currently in post-production. She's co-directing and producing Havana Wheels, a documentary about transport in production, and this is leading us as well to this to her role as a director of the Havana Glasgow Film Festival, combining her love for the twin cities of Glasgow and Havana and her passion for film. The first festival took place in November 2015 and was a great success indeed. And the sixth festival took place online in November 2020. And continues to go from strength to strength. She's currently organizing the 2021 festival. So please tell us a little bit how and why did the Havana Glasgow Film Festival come about eventually?
Well, I've been going to Cuba from 97, January 97. In fact, this is just, February. In fact, this month of February is my 24th anniversary of going to Cuba. So sadly, I can't celebrate that in Cuba at the moment. But so I've been going to Cuba for a long time. Was doing, always wanted to just when I left film school. I left film school just before I went to Cuba, and then I had an idea to make a film there, and it took a long time to do it. As anybody who's involved in screenwriting a film will know, it often takes a very long time before you actually, get anything done. I'm going to just change my view to a gallery. That's better. And so I'd been going to Cuba, and obviously there's a wonderful big Latin American International Film Festival there. So I'd seen quite a lot of Latin American films. And they're quite different in sensibility for an awful lot of either the UK and US films. So I realised that it was going to be it's hard for Cuban films to be seen outside of Cuba in a lot of places, except maybe for specialist film festivals. So my sort of growing love for Latin American film, especially Cuban film, coincided with the fact that Glasgow and Havana were twin cities, and they became twin cities in 2002. So I'd been trying to set up some sort of relationship between Glasgow, some sort of cultural relationship between Glasgow and Cuba. And I'd been trying to do something, between writers in Glasgow and Cuba. and that had been going on for a few years, and I'd done various little bits. In fact, the documentary came out of doing some work with the Glasgow City Council and with filmmakers in Cuba, and then I just thought, well, why not? One of the ways to really help culture in Cuba, that's a concrete thing that we can do, is to start a film festival and show some of these films. And I've been working with Hugo Rivalta, who I was a teacher at. There's a very famous film school in Cuba. I think you maybe, I can't remember, Yabi, if you know some people that went there, but the International Film Festival in Cuba. And I taught there in the early 2000s, where I'd met Hugo Rivalta. He was a mature student there, and he'd become a friend. So between the two of us, we decided to start the film festival, which I didn't realise what a mad idea it was until a few people told me, were a bit aghast that I was thinking to try to start a film festival. Of course, I had no idea no experience in that kind of thing. So it was a real kind of baptism of fire, I think you would say, but exciting as well.
And did you find at the very first time some engagement among the Scottish fellows regarding this festival?
Yes, I mean, it's interesting with the Cuban Film Festival in Scotland or in Glasgow, because although there's that connection with the Twin Cities, but there's not, like, for example, if you do a Spanish film festival here, or, there's a lot of Spanish speakers, there's people, you've already got a core of people who are going to come to that festival, and you could also get support from Spain, perhaps, but of course, there's no support available from Cuba because there's no money. And also there's not a big Cuban population at all. There's not that kind of big group of people that are going to come to your festival. So therefore, the heart of the people that are coming to festival are people from Glasgow who are interested in culture, and a lot of Glaswegians really are. They're a very kind of welcoming city. They're very interested in people from other places, but also there's a real tradition that's similar to Cuban tradition of solidarity and socialist politics in the heart of Glasgow. So there was that kind of interest, but of course you're starting from zero. So, but of course we got the support of the council, which was fantastic. Without that, we couldn't have done it. But Glasgow City Council were very supportive, and through the twinning programme. So it was very much linked in with the fact that Glasgow and Cuba were twin cities that we were able to do it.
Okay, and
I should just say, Javi, that the support of the ICAIC, the Cuban Film Institute, they were very supported, and I'd known them all this time because I'd actually met people from ICAIC in '97. Mm-hmm. And also support from the film school. So my long kind of relationship with Cuba, mm-hmm. and with the Glasgow City Council, trying, with that twin relationship, really helped me, start to, gave me a start in doing it.
And speaking of difficult moments and so on, what is that moment? I mean, after the pandemic began, because you were involved in the next edition since the last one finished. I mean, you are working all the time during all the year long. But what's the moment in 2020 that you decided, okay, I will go with the festival, no matter what's happened, no matter what is this pandemic, we will go with this online or whatever. What's that moment, and why did you say, okay, we will do this year again?
Well, to be honest, there wasn't a moment when I thought I wasn't going to do it, if you see what I mean. For me, there wasn't a question of not doing it. So, because it's taken us a long time, each year we get a few more people, and, the last 2 years, like not 2020, but 2018 and 2019, we really got an awful much bigger audience. And we really started getting a lot more young people involved, and we'd sort of, we were getting sold out, this kind of thing. So we'd really built a momentum. So the idea of not being able to go ahead was, and still keep that momentum going. But also, I'd sort of said, you know, as I say, the council had always been very supportive, and knowing that you've got that one little bit of money that you could do something gives you a kind of a power, you know, even though it's very small, that we could still have done something, because, you know, so many people work, you know, give their time for, you know, voluntarily, or, you know, because they feel an ownership, you know, like people that come along every year and they'll do the Q&As and they contribute, etc., etc. So you're building a community. So
yeah, for the volunteering, that's
yes.
really, I mean, really important in the way that you have all these volunteers around during the festival, like the sensation, the feeling of create a community around the festival.
That's very important to us, and so when we spoke to I did just wait, you know, I just said, well, what do you think, you know, with the council, with our support there? I said, you know, we did make a decision, right, shall we go ahead whatever happens, you know? And I spoke to Ugo Rivalta before we knew the kind of state that we're going to be in. Obviously, Ugo's the co-director of the festival, Ugo Rivalta in Havana, and he always comes, and he's very important to have here, you know, a great support. We co-curate the festival, and you know, whilst talking to the team as well. And I said to him, if things get better, or would you want to come at all? Do you want me, you know, to leave that open? And this is way back in April or something. And he said, no, I definitely don't, definitely 100% don't want to come. And, you know, so in that way, we thought, okay, we're just not going to even think about having any Cuban guests. So this is early on, but we will go ahead with the festival. And at that point in time, we spoke to the CCA. Now they're big, you know, they're a big support. We do most of the festival there with a couple of films at the GFT, but the CCA are the God, I can't even remember what it stands for now. Our big cultural centre for film and, oh God, anyway. So they're always very supportive. So when I spoke to them and Alex there, and they were saying, well, maybe we can they were up for doing a sort of in-between thing. We thought we might be able to have a little bit of audience. We might be able to do something live. So we still had that possibility. But then, of course, there came a point, as you're saying, where we decided, no, there won't be anything live. We'll just do everything online, and then you have a whole new set of problems.
So you have felt supported by the council there in Glasgow. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the international department that, you know, that are to do with the twinning, which is such an important thing for the city. I mean, I think sometimes people forget it's a two-way thing. So we get as much out of people coming here. You know, you get more people coming to Scotland. You're building that relationship. It's good for business. It's good for everything. It's very good culturally. You know, you create a more vibrant city, which is always positive. So they're very supportive of this kind of thing, and they've always been very supportive.
And besides the council, another maybe levels of the government, Scottish government or the UK government. How did you feel about this during the festival, before and during the festival?
Well, not the UK, just be in Scotland, but Creative Scotland have you know, they've supported us since the third festival, since that's so 2017. Creative Scotland have been very supportive as well, and they're you know, accessible. You can talk about it. So we sort of discussed, you know, we had a bit of a discussion with them, just saying that you were going to go ahead, and then of course they had to have new conditions. And I mean, it was very problematic because Julia, who's our coordinator, she was stuck at home with her daughter. And as many people were, you know, so it was very hard for her to do. And I mean, I can't say, I tell you, my speciality, Abby, is not filling, you know, doing the forms. It's like, I mean, I do it, but it takes me days. It's not my forte. So I really,
You cannot do everything. I mean.
so Julie and I do that together, and of course it was very difficult for her to find time through, like lockdown with her very very energetic, wonderful daughter. So we had all these problems of being able to actually get the applications in, but also knowing what was happening, being able to get the program. Because another problem with Cuba is I always go there and get the films. Mm-hmm. So because you can't, because of broadband, because of the blockade, what they can send, they've only got very limited space, to send. I'm going at this space, but to send films, so they can't send a big file. So even though we had the help of journalists there, but belly of the beast, who were able to. They were able to send a couple of things through to us. They had to be, compressed. The files had to be compressed. So for some of the things, you wouldn't maybe get. It wouldn't have been for a live screening. It wouldn't have been so good. It was okay online, but you don't have quite the quality that you would want. So there's all these kind of headaches about how do we get the films here.
What do you think was the biggest challenge during the pandemic to organize?
There's lots of little challenges but just physically getting the films, and also, which a lot of film festivals would have come across, we wouldn't be any different, is the fact that permissions for online screening is very different than permissions for live screening. So one of the problems we had was that our one of the films we really wanted to have, which was Celeste Garcia, The Extraordinary Journey of Celeste Garcia, was with ICAIC didn't own that. So some of the films are independent in Cuba. And so they have a company, like a distribution company that own the films. So they didn't want us to screen the film on Vimeo, which lots of people were doing. So then we had to find a platform which they agreed with. And then when we tried to find that out, they're very costly. The ones that they wanted us to go with, when we investigated it, there were like thousands of pounds, and we were only doing, do you know what I mean, for a film festival? And it would have been really great, but would have cost like a third of our budget. So then we just weren't able to do that. So that was a real headache, trying to find something to screen the film. So all these kind of things, and we made that decision. That was probably the biggest decision we made. Just we wanted that film, and therefore we had to go with that secure platform that they were happy with.
Normally a festival has a rule, has a big impact when happen live in present, and normally the experience of the spectator is also different, the space in time, but with COVID the festival need to migrate online. How was the impact that this was in the organization of the event, in terms of impact online for you?
One of the things that the team talks a lot, Julia, myself, and Danny Acosta, who's Cuban. Well, since the beginning of the festival, we've really tried to make it a sort of community, have a community feel. So we were very worried. We were very worried about how do we keep that? How do we manage to have that feel when we're online? And we watched a lot of chats. And I went to a few online film festivals, and it was good just seeing how they did it. But one of the things we were very determined is how do we actually create a sense of community, and we couldn't really. It was really difficult to kind of think how you could do that, because that's very important to the festival. And so we decided to. But one of the great things is we could invite we could invite all the directors from around the world, but also I think it depended quite a lot on the program. So when we were programming it, we thought, we thought a lot about how we program and curating it. That there was one point I feel, we've not got the right balance of films. This isn't going to work. So we'd kind of I was determined to get the music films, and had talked to Cynthia Bystock about, you know, her one of Elidas Ochoa, and then I have a very good relationship with Roberto Chile, who's one of the biggest, very famous cinematographers in Cuba, and he's been involved in quite a lot of films. So he always says, Eirene, I've got this idea and I've got that idea, and he's always worked in a lot of things. So he had introduced me to Catherine, who did a beautiful little documentary about Silvio Rodriguez, and as we just, you know, we had some things, and then we met Felix, who's Felix Verona, who's at the University of Stirling, and he was doing something about Burns and Martí. So we found all these different connections and managed to sort of create a really nice, varied program. But also we thought when we talk, we want to keep that very sort of relaxed and involving, and so we just thought about as many different things as we could that would give it a kind of community feel, and just hoped that somehow that would get across when we presented things, you know, and as well, and just make, you know, and then that was very much, you know, we were very much conscious of trying to do that, but we didn't know that we would succeed, you know.
Yeah. We're also with the online version of the festival, we can see that we have a big competitor. Netflix today has played a powerful role in the world of cinema and movies, and how you think online film fest contributes and can contribute for the difference between Netflix and the festival. Because for this festival, we will see like everything online. So kind of Netflix online. So how you think the festival contribute for the different between Netflix and a film festival?
What do you mean in terms of what does it bring that's different to viewing?
Yeah, and what you did for make everything different for like a platform.
So what's different about an online? I think what worked really well with us is the discussions afterwards. So that you know that there's it's kind of important that you have an identity that's to do with your place. So we have an identity that's to do with Glasgow and an identity that's to do with Havana. And so one of the things that very early on we thought we must try and have some sort of live communication with Cuba. And of course that is an extra challenge with Cuba, you know, to have that live communication because of the blockade against Cuba. You can't do Zoom in Cuba. You can't, it's very, very difficult, but also, you know, things are getting cut out all the time. But so you have things that make things human, in that Ugo's daughter's boyfriend is a student from Africa at the same university as Laura. Laura's there studying law. And what Cuba does is they have a lot of students from Africa, and they've also got a lot of medical students from Africa. So because he's from Africa, he had a phone that had, he was able to do a little bit. So we were trying to do Zoom from his phone, but actually we couldn't make it work, but we tried lots of times. So I'm sort of answering your question in a very roundabout way, but we also had a relationship with Belly of the Beast, which is a fairly new news information, and it's called, you know, From Inside Cuba. So you get lots of really interesting stories about what's going on in Cuba that we don't really see. I mean, people, I'm sure you yourself are not really aware of the impact of the blockade. Even people who are interested in different cultures and probably think, oh, Cuba sounds interesting, have no idea about just how the impact it has, even for somebody doing a film festival like we are. Anyway, we managed, in order to do things, Ugo had to go to Ed's house, and he had to get on Zoom, and and then we managed to go, and then Ugo would go around filming things with his son-in-law because they, with the phone, and then send things by WhatsApp that we had to edit together because they couldn't send anything that was too big. And by doing something that that Netflix can't do, it's big, so that we're small in that you have that locality. So you have local Havana and you have local Glasgow, and then these things connect. And no matter what we're doing, how international we might be, and we might want to go to this country or that country, it's grounded in Glasgow, and it's grounded in Havana and in that relationship. So that is something that festivals, grounded in what they specifically do. And Glasgow is wonderful for all the different festivals that we have here. You create that sense of community. And what's really interesting, I feel as I've learned a lot about that. I wouldn't have necessarily thought we could do that online. But actually, it turns out you kind of can. And plus, if you join with some Glasgow-based companies or things happening, then when you're sharing that, you're building that. So I think, given that I would imagine we'll do something online next year, there's then a way that we can build on that knowledge that we've gained about how the localness. And very much actually how what we used to put in our kind of blurb, you always put this blurb about, about what you do and what you care about. And we always say the local is international, because it's all about how we connect. And that's what the festival's about. And actually, it makes sense that if you've got something that can be viewed all over, what's important to you locally will be important to other places.
Yes. It is maybe about the partners, so how the partners can connect, and how the outcome is maybe much bigger than only just a platform with documentaries and films. It is
Exactly.
about how you can connect with this country, how you can connect with a country that, as you say, that with many problems with the blockade. So sometimes we don't have too much information about what's going on there, or it's not easy to have kind of the connections that you had during the festival. So all these things. And regarding this, in your opinion, what do you think there is? Do you think there is a proper future for online festivals using the current format? Do you think this is going to evolve toward something hybrid? Do you think that maybe the online part that we are living now with these festivals is going to stay after the pandemic? How do you feel about this, and how do you imagine your Havana Glasgow Film Festival 21 regarding this situation, this format that you have been experimenting during the last festival, and considering that probably the pandemic is going to be here during 2021?
Yeah, I think it will be, but I think the people going there and meeting, there's no substitute for people being there live, and you don't want there to be, because it's very important that people communicate, and we're not doing everything online. But I think because of the thing that worked really well is, obviously, when you're thinking about people traveling, is to be able to talk to all the filmmakers was fantastic. And also we had some of the volunteers, as you know, Jacques, we had volunteers able to take part in discussions. You can get wider discussions. You can make it very informal and nice, and something that people can really enjoy. So I think we definitely want to do some aspect of that. Yes, I think there's a future for certainly having certain things online, which means you can reach more people, but keeping the live element. I mean, the headache for us now is that, I mean, one of the things, because, we're a very small team, and to be able to do a live, I can't quite get my head around how you can do live and online together without making yourself
kind of hybrid. I mean,
the whole time. Do you know what I mean? How do you do? You can't have it if you've got it running 2 weekends. Do you do the live one before the online one? Do you do them interconnected? So that's the kind of thing that we're kind of thinking about now for 2021. So we're thinking about the program, but we're also thinking about if we want to do some we definitely will want to do some online, because as you say, I think that even if we have some things in cinema, it could well be at half, instead of having 75 people or 74 people at the CCA, you might just be able to have half of that, 30, even less. So you're in a situation where then financially that, it's not going to pan out. You're not going to make any money back. So, in order to cover costs, etc. So then, and then if you think, well, it'd be lovely to have it would be lovely to have a Zoom on that film, but you've watched it, and then you can't sort of go home and then go and watch a Zoom just after the film. So it's quite interesting about how you might do it. I mean, you could do the same film at home, and so I don't know. This is what we're thinking about now. And
of course.
and I'm thinking about what can we could do, but we'll certainly have a good element of stuff online, but we'll probably also try and create a wee bit more like we did last year in 2020. We sort of creating a bit of our own little videos and things like that, and also we've got quite a lot of interesting chats from 2020. Mm-hmm. So, one of our kind of, we've got sort of volunteers who we're able to pay a bit, but they give a lot of their time for nothing, and then we can afford to pay them for some, so we've got people related to the festival in that way. So for example, Jill, who does our podcasts and tech, we were talking about maybe getting a program of, getting something really nice together about the stuff we did in 2020 to use that, for the run up, to have that for the run up to this year's festival or over the summer. Should we do so, just thinking about what can we do, how can we make this, and also collaborations with something like Ubedo Docs and, their festival, and just ways to sort of join with people and kind of create that bigger community of an alternative to the big talk.
We will follow this, and we will remain open-minded regarding options and chances that we will have for sure. That's good. And we have a last question that we are now introducing in this program. Is that if you have to recommend, a song or maybe an artist, we are thinking of a song maybe to that kind of song that helps you to feel uplifted during the dark days that we have sometimes, especially here in Edinburgh. What will be your recommendation for our audience? That song or that artist or that album, whatever you choose.
Oh, it's funny because now I start to talk phrase, but when I go to Cuba, there's always a song that's really popular at that time. At the time. So each time you hear a song, it reminds you of, that was that year. I was in Cuba that year. So obviously, I find that. But the last song, there's a band. I love salsa and Havana Primera and Manolito Simone. So they're really great salsa bands. But there's the big song when I was last in Cuba, which was quite a while ago, as you can imagine. Well, it was like December, so just over a year ago, was CIMAFUNK. So it's CIMAFUNK. And it's like, boy from mi casa, and it's really, so check out CIMAFUNK. It's like
me boy.
Yeah.
From mi casa. Yeah, okay, that's really good.
Tuya. Basically, if you like it, I'll come to your house. So
yeah, it's a really amazing song.
And if you watch him, if you watch the video with it, he does a brilliant wee dance along with it, and it's just they're fantastic. I saw them live at the film festival in Ibarra a couple of years ago, and he's a great guy from Pinal del Rio, but that would be my one. So if I dance around behind you in the bedroom to CIMAFUNK.
Absolutely, I think it's a great choice indeed. Okay, thank you very much for this, Eirene. Really.
Thank you.
So thanks very much, and good luck with you. You got to, good luck with what you're doing, and it's great.
Thank you, and thank you, Raquel, for this. How do you feel?
Good. It's amazing.
Are
to know
you,
this.
you want to go to Cuba like right
For
now,
sure.
isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to get back, but goodness knows where it'll be. I'm kind of half thinking June, but I don't think so. But anyway, June, July, August, September. Hugo says they're getting the vaccination in March, so.
Very soon, for sure. Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And yeah, thanks everybody for being there. Stay tuned.
Okay, ciao.
Pa' mi casa.